None of the materials that we picked up weighed anything. It looked like it was weightless. You couldn't feel that you had anything in your hands. I found one piece of metal, what looked like metal anyway. It was not flexible, but it was as thin as a foil in a pack of cigarettes. It was that thin. One of my boys told me, he said, there's something unusual here. He said, I tried to make a dent in this metal. And he said, you can't bend it. You can't make a mark on it. He says, I took a sledgehammer and whammed it. I put it on the ground and whammed it. The sledgehammer bounced off of it. He told me not to say anything. He says, I'll handle it from now on. And that's exactly what he did. When he came out, he said, he told the press that was there, he said, that was nothing but a weather balloon, crashed weather balloon. It was definitely not a weather balloon. And it was an aircraft. So what it could have been, I wouldn't know. I still don't know.
They took pictures, of course. They had a whole flock of microphones there. They wanted me they wanted some comments from me, but I wasn't at liberty to do that. So all I could do is keep my mouth shut. And General Ramey is the one who discussed, told the newspapers, I mean the newsmen, what it was and to forget about it. It was nothing more than a weather observation balloon. Of course, which we both knew differently. We left Roswell perhaps around 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. As you can see, it's flat. It is very difficult. In fact, with just verbal directions, we never would have found it. We had to follow the rancher out there. The following morning, we went out to the site where the crash was. And what I saw, I couldn't believe there was so much of it. It was scattered over such a vast area. So we proceeded to pick up as much of the debris as we could, loaded in the wagon. We filled that up. It took us a good part of the day to do that, because there's such small fragments that we had to do a lot of picking. We found a piece of metal about a 1.5 to 2 feet wide and about 2 or 3 feet long. Felt like you had nothing in your hands. It wasn't any thicker than the foil out of a pack of cigarettes. But the thing about that got me is that you couldn't even bend it, you couldn't dent it. Even with a sledgehammer would bounce off of it. So I knew that I had never seen anything like that before. And as of now, I don't know what it was. It was not anything from this earth that I'm quite sure of. Because being an intelligence officer, I was familiar with just about all materials used in aircraft and in our air travel. This was nothing like that. It could not be. It could not have been.
My story for the Roswell part began in the wee hours in the morning of July 1947, when I was awakened by my dad, who was returning from an assignment to collect debris of unknown origin from a ranch out of Roswell. The sheriff in Chavez County contacted Colonel Blanchard, who was the commander of the Air Force Base in Roswell. Now, Colonel Blanchard knew my dad was the intelligence officer, so he dispatched my dad and a CIC agent, Sheridan Cavett, to investigate what this was. Our house happened to be on the way to the base, and this is in the wee hours of the morning. So my dad, knowing that he had seen something very special, wanted my mother and myself to look at this also, because as he said, you'll never see this again. So what he did, he stopped off at the house, awakened my mother and myself, and again, the wee hours in the morning. It's summertime. I've been playing all day with my bicycles and things like that. I was 11 years old at the time, however. And he brought us into the kitchen and saw a smattering of this strange debris on the kitchen floor that he had pre-positioned. He said, look at this. I think this is what you call a flying saucer or remains thereof. The debris itself consisted of 3 components, 3 types. There was a foil, a very tough metallic foil of some nature that I can't really describe. if you fold it over, it unfold and assume its original form. In addition, there was black plastic debris, like a broken phonograph record. But the strangest thing I saw was, as being passed around right now, was that this is a replica of one of the I-beams, or the beams I saw in the wreckage. In that, you'll note there's some symbols written along the inside surface of this, and they're a purplish violet hue, semi-reflective of light. My dad drove the debris into the base that night. I think it was that night or maybe early next morning, where he was assigned by Colonel Blanchard to fly the material to General Ramey's office in Fort Worth. This was flown in the belly of a B-29 under armed guard. That's where the cover-up began, at General Ramey's office. So when my dad got home, he sat my mother and myself down and said in no uncertain terms, "You will never talk about this. This is a non-event."
Is there anything else you can share with us of your impressions and knowledge of an 11-year-old boy?
Well, yeah, it was a very Earth awakening experience, or space awakening experience for me. It did make this did make me very interested in astronomy and cosmology, because I realized that whatever was on the kitchen floor didn't come from here, but came from out there.
What else should we know before we get up from here today?
Well, I think what it does, it tells us that we're not alone in the universe. As a matter of fact, there's other civilizations out there, and they're finding Earth-like planets around other star systems every day. Any civilization that develops into space travel has gone through a nuclear age, and we're still on the precipice of either surviving or not surviving ours, but it means they did. And if they can do it, we can also survive our nuclear warlike tendencies. Well, as a 76-year-old, I'm no spring chicken. But I like to tell my story. I don't embellish it. I tell exactly what I knew about this. And if people want to believe this, that's okay. If they don't want to believe it, that's also okay. That's their opinion. I would certainly like to have the government spill the beans about this while I'm still alive to say, "I told you so." But I may not be. But it doesn't matter. I've been there and done that, so I know what it was.